so I have this nice little vertical stand where I keep like my work laptop and my personal laptop, which is, this ancient 2015 MacBook Pro, on the edge of my desk, which is really nice. And so they're both in clamshell mode, and the work laptop has a nice little USB-C docking station, and the personal laptop doesn't, because it doesn't have USB-C, because it was the last Apple MacBook before they went all USB-C. So it can't connect to that dock. So instead, the MacBook Pro has all of these wires coming out of it, right? It has, power and 2 display cables, like an HDMI and a mini display port, and a USB to my audio interface for recording. And then I have this USB that goes to a USB switch, which is switched between my gaming computer and usually my work laptop. But then when I record, I physically switch the USB wire from the work laptop to the personal laptop. And anyway, so I had done all of these things, and I went to, switch the USB, and then I click, and like the screens all come to life. I'm like, okay, great. This is good. And the mouse worked and the keyboard didn't. And the keyboard was like super intermittent, and like I was able to type like a couple characters, but like they didn't quite finish, like wouldn't let me type my entire password in, because it was just not working. It was all flaking out, and I tried like unplugging it and replugging it and unplugging the keyboard from the USB switch that I have and anyway, none of it was working. And then finally the computer's like, well, if you're having trouble typing in your password, just hold the power button and then turn it on, and then you'll go into recovery mode. I'm like, well, I don't really want to do that. So then I like get the laptop out of the little stand, and all of the wires are, of course, cable managed pretty close, like not like zip tied tight, but like pretty close. And so they are difficult and like pulling themselves out of their little, Velcro houses. And everything is all kind of just undoing itself on my desk, which is stressful and annoying. So then I open up the laptop and I'm like, okay, let me unplug all the things. So I unplugged, the HDMIs and unplugged the USBs. I was just like, okay, power, laptop, right? Type on the keyboard. Here we go. But then the screen was black. I was like, okay, like it hadn't realized that it had been disconnected from external screens, and that like I'd opened it now in like laptop mode. So then I ended up having to press and hold the power button, and then I turned it back on, and then it was like, great, you're going into recovery mode because this is obviously what you were intending to do. And I was like, no, I just wanted my computer back, please. And so then I had to go to the little Apple menu and restart it again. And then it took forever to decrypt like the file vault password or whatever, right? Because, you have to like log into your account before you can like do anything on the computer. Like it just makes you log in to unlock the encryption and all that stuff, which is good. It's a good security feature. I like it normally. But today, for some reason, it just took the longest it has ever taken to decrypt or open up or do whatever it does.
Yeah, normally it's not noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, normally it's, 5-10 seconds, whatever. It's like a little progress bar goes across. But this time, like the progress bar got stuck. Hence, I am like 20 minutes late to our recording.
It's fine. I was just watching some Twitch. Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're working for now. And here's to MacBook Pros in 2021.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'm really hoping that sometime in the next month or so, they announce new laptops, and then I will order one.
Well, heck, we were hoping that they would announce them in like July.
They were supposed to come out, at WWDC in like early June. That was when all the rumors were like, oh yeah, new MacBook Pros are coming. And I was like, thank goodness I'm finally getting rid of this thing. And then they didn't. Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 59.
Jason, this past week, you and I played a game together that we have not played in a very long time.
Oh, man. Okay, so I didn't know you were going to start here. But yeah, so someone posted in one of the Discord servers that we're in, hey, everyone, let's play Overwatch at 9 p.m. tonight. And I was just like, okay.
To set the stage here, Jason played Overwatch the first week that it came out in 2016 or whenever that was, and then completely dropped it.
Oh, I was so excited for it. It was one of those games that I was like super hyped for, and like I'm pretty sure I pre-ordered it and maybe played the beta. I don't know. I was really hyped for it, and then played for a week and said, I hate this game. I'm never playing again, and uninstalled it. That was it. That's the last time I had touched it. No, there was a short stint in there where there was some co-op stuff going on, and the co-op stuff was okay. But like for the most part, have not played competitive PvP Overwatch since the week it came out.
I, on the other hand, played the PC Overwatch version for like a month, then fell off of it a little bit, and then found a friend group to play on PS4. And I played Overwatch on PS4, competitive and non-competitive, probably almost every day for 2 years, maybe 3 years. So it was a long time. Played a lot of Overwatch with a good group of friends, and that was really what it was. It was a social thing more so than an Overwatch thing, mostly for me. For them, I think it was a competitive thing somewhat. But yeah, so we played Overwatch for a long time, and then everybody stopped playing altogether in I want to say mid to late 2018, and then of course nobody's really played it since then. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, last week, somebody's like, "Hey, let's play Overwatch today." And everybody was actually like, okay, all right, sounds good. Sure, why not? Let's try it.
It was one of the largest gatherings of that Discord I've seen in a long, long time.
Yes, it actually brought, I think, almost a dozen people online at the same time, which is unheard of for that server that has maybe 20 people on the total list.
I've got to say, so before we, I was going to use a bad word, but before we say not good things about Overwatch, I actually enjoyed it. Like, I played a little bit. I still don't like the game, and I know you may have a different opinion, but my very quick, opinion of it was I had fun playing with other people and like getting back into it from a social standpoint. I still don't like Overwatch. I
also had a pretty good time playing it. I always play Mercy or Moira healers, and I like playing Mercy. It's fun. I latch my little beam onto somebody and then I can fly around and chase them around, and that's a good experience. But one of our friends very knowingly started a stopwatch when we started playing and said, "How long is this going to last?" And after an hour and 15 minutes or so, we all kind of came to this sudden mutual agreement that this was not a good game anymore, and that we weren't interested in playing it, and that people would rather go play whatever their other game is. So some people went and played Rocket League, some people went and played WoW. It was just, everybody kind of scattered from this gathering of Overwatch. And that was what kind of gave me the idea for this episode, which is what games are you have a really fond memory for, or like you're really nostalgic about, or you say, yeah, that was a great game, I want to play that again. And then you like, either you do it or you think about playing it again, and you're just like, I think it's just better to just leave that one in the past. So I would like to offer up as the first specimen there, Overwatch in this case, because we had so much fun. I mean, that group played a lot, and it was a really big social piece. And it was all on PS4 because not the whole group had PCs, so everybody would hang out on the PlayStation chat instead of in Discord because that wasn't their thing yet. Now, of course, everybody would just hang out in Discord. But it's just like Overwatch as a game, maybe it was slowly declining in that time as they were adding more heroes or stagnating the game while they were maybe working on Overwatch 2. I don't know, but it was one of those things where it's like, that was a good time when we played Overwatch, and we don't need to do that again.
When Chris posed this question to me, I kind of thought back, and I tried to say, okay, so like what games did I play that I like have really, really fond memories of? And I have tried to play again and not been able to revitalize those good memories. Overwatch is not on my list because I never had good memories of Overwatch, but there are some for me, and I think it's a really good question because I have tried this. I have tried to think back. I'm like, man, I'm in this kind of rut. I'm looking for a new game. What can I go back to that I used to have a lot of fun with and try again? One of the games that I have talked about on the show before that I am able to play in a way, but is not the original, like, intended way to play, is Star Wars Galaxies. I played thousands of hours of Star Wars Galaxies through middle school and high school and a little bit into college until it shut down. But right now it is being revitalized by kind of like this independent group that's building the Star Wars Galaxies emulator, or SWG EMU. If you know about it or you've played it, like, it's a really good recreation of the game. You essentially can play the whole game up into, and certain ones are doing different patches and whatever. It's a really good recreation of the game. I mean, it's not a recreation. It's literally just taking the game files and like rehosting them in a way that allows you to play. And I've tried it. I've played Star Wars Galaxies before, again, in this method. It's just not the same. Like, I don't get those same feelings that I got when I first played the game. And I think it's a little bit related to like not having a group. Like, again, like the thing with Overwatch that kept like that, the fond memories of Overwatch for you was playing together or having this like social like part of it. Star Wars Galaxies is not a good game on your own. Like, it's such a sandbox world. You know, there's not a whole lot of questing. There's not a whole lot of like, you know, very like specific tasks to do. It's very, very sandboxy. So not having a group to play with or not having people to like kind of be with you or be around you or make the experience better. I played the Star Wars Galaxies emulator for like maybe 3 days and uninstalled it. And I've never touched it again.
Yeah, as you're talking about kind of this Star Wars Galaxies emulation, I was thinking of all of the people that are now, well, they're actually not now doing it, but the people that were really excited about WoW Classic, right? When they were like, oh, we're taking World of Warcraft back to square one. We're going to do everything as it was on launch day 15 years ago. And even people that could get a group together, although maybe they didn't get the same group together, still were like, you know, yeah, this wasn't really that fun. Like, it wasn't that fun to play these original World of Warcraft worlds in the original way that they were, with no quality of life improvements and, you know, clunky game design choices that were made a long time ago. I just think some of those things, those rough edges, really just they bother you in a way that you really don't think that they will when you are remembering back, like your rose-colored glasses on stuff, and you just have these little things that that really get in the way of this experience, of this older experience.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think one, we don't realize how far games have come in their like ability to be fun, right? They've really gotten good at like knowing what's fun, what's addictive, what keeps you playing, and they've really kind of turned up the dial on those. While at the same time, like, those aren't the pieces that you remember. I think for two reasons. One, if they aren't fun or they didn't contribute to like the good memory, you're not going to remember them. But two, there was also an element of like when you first played World of Warcraft or Star Wars Galaxies or whatever the game is, like those rough edges we associated with like learning the game or like, you know, the experimentation and the learning. And to me, learning is fun. Like figuring out a new game, figuring out how it works, figuring out all of that is honestly the most fun part of the game for me. Because, you know, everyone always jokes about like the season 2 weeks, because that's me experimenting and learning the mechanics of the game. And once I learn those mechanics, if the game is not fun enough to master, I'm done. So I think that's part of like the World of Warcraft thing is like, if you go back and play World of Warcraft Classic, you already know how the whole game works. So those paper cuts are much bigger. They're just like, whoa, this is not what I want or how I like it. Because before you would see those paper cuts as having to learn how to get around them or to read the quest text so that you know where the enemies are or whatever. And you know, they've done away with a lot of that, but that was just part of learning the game back then. And I think that contributed to it rather than, you know, kind of was seen as an annoyance, which is what we kind of do now.
Yeah, I think also that my standards as a gamer have changed since I would have been of age for those kinds of games. Because if you think about like the trajectory of our lives as we're talking about these games, right? You know, you were playing Star Wars Galaxies in high school, you said, and middle school, I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
You had a lot more disposable time in middle school and high school as compared to, you know, now with a full-time job as an adult.
Yeah, comparatively like 3 or 4 times the amount. Yes.
So I think that those kinds of things, they feel less like a waste of time, I guess, because you feel like you have more time and it's not a percentage-wise significant annoyance or waste. Whereas now it's like, oh my gosh, I have to go over here and do this thing, and then I have to go all the way back over here. Like, come on, this isn't worth my time. I want to, you know, fast travel. I want to be able to, you know, knock this out because I'm only going to play, you know, this game for an hour or two maybe this week, like it used to be, I'm going to play this game for 6 hours today. And now it's like, maybe I'll get 6 hours this week, if I have a busy schedule in my real life.
I find myself looking at the clock, or I notice now, right now, especially now that you mention it, I look at the clock a lot more when I game now than when I used to. I played last night. We're recording this on a Saturday, and I played Guild Wars 2 just last night and didn't look at the clock. And by the time I was done, it was 3 a.m. And it was fine. Like that was what I wanted to do. And I knew I didn't have any commitments or anything. But when I was younger, especially during summer in middle school, where there's like, I didn't have band, I didn't have sports, I didn't have anything. I could do that all the time, almost every night. Right. And that freedom to just do what I want until I almost fall asleep on my keyboard is gone. So the quality of life improvements, the ability to fast travel, all of those things are so much more important.
Switching gears a little bit, I've also taken some of these games and like tried to go back to older like console games, like games that came out, maybe on a really old console, or maybe just on like a PlayStation era, or even a PS3 console. And I've bounced off of those too, and it's really strange because like I have these consoles, like I have these games, and I can still play them. They're still, they still work and all that stuff. But it's just, there's something about like those older games, especially if you beat them before, you're just kind of like, well, I've done this before. Like I did have fun doing it then, but I'm maybe retreading this ground is like not as fun as I thought it was going to be. And like I have in mind, like for instance, even, and it doesn't even have to be, the rigmarole of getting the console hooked up to the TV, and that's a pain, and this thing only had component outputs, and I needed, or composite outputs, and my TV doesn't even have that anymore because everything's all HDMI, blah, blah, blah. Like that's not what I'm really necessarily talking about, because like I got Final Fantasy IX, which was my favorite. It was my first and favorite Final Fantasy game from the PlayStation 1, and I got it on the Switch, and like I have it on my Switch and downloaded, and so it's easier than ever to play, but I never sit down and play it. I think I sat down and played it on a plane or, some travel trip of some sort once for like an hour. And I was like, well, I mean, this is all of the things I remember. Yes, I remember the dialogue choices here. I remember there's a hidden thing over there. Like, and that's kind of cool-ish. But like, man, this is an 80-hour RPG, and I'm not sure that I'm going to get through all of this. I don't think I'm going to sit here and do this whole thing on, PS1 era graphics. And yes, there are some actual quality of life things when you do get those remastered things, like these ones for the Switch. They actually have something that'll do the battles all in like 2x speed. But then that just feels like it's taking away from the experience also. So it's like I can't win in terms of, this takes forever when I'm doing full turn-based, but also, wow, this looks really weird when everything's on fast forward. It just kind of is jarring. It feels like I'm just trying to get through this game just to check the box. And like, is that fun? I don't really think so, at least for me in this case. So it's weird to try to go back to some of those things, and like I feel like I should have fun with these, and I don't.
Yeah, the check the box, like I nodded my head when you said that, because I feel that is something that I think I agree with you in like I feel like I should be having fun with these, and I feel like man, I have such good memories. Like, why am I not enjoying this? And I get that. I get that sense of like, well, heck, like this is a remake. I should just do it. Like I should get through it. I should experience it again. I should, right? Like I don't know how to finish that sentence, but that's the feeling I have when playing them. And that doesn't get you to come back once you close the session, right? I can get through one session and being like, okay, I should really play this. Like, I should re-experience this, but that doesn't drive you to choose the game over Rocket League the next time you play, or whatever the game of choice is, right? Whatever the flavor of the month is right now. that's kind of what I've experienced in some of these that I go back to is, oh yeah, okay, I see, like, oh man, I remember a lot more about this game than I thought I would. And okay, I see how this was fun, and I see how their game mechanics were cool, but like, this isn't more entertaining to me than going and playing something I'm currently actually really enjoying. I did this with so I don't have old consoles. I played a lot of N64 and when I was really young, like before I had a PC. And my like the most fond memory I have of the N64 is Mario Kart and Mario Party, which the more recent ones are fine. Mario Kart is still pretty good. So like I don't have this like yearning to go back to play the old Mario Kart. The new one is good enough for me. Mario Party, like meh, okay. I don't have a big yearning to go back and play like N64 Mario Party, but I played a lot of Star Fox on the N64. And I have done this with Star Fox in that I've gotten an emulator working on my computer, you know, plugged in. I'm using an Xbox controller now, which, all right, we can argue whether that was the best choice, but I played Star Fox on my computer with an emulator and you know, it worked great. Everything was just how it was. And I was just like, okay, this is a cool game, but I'm not going to choose to play this more than once. Like I'm really just doing this to say that I've done it, to say that, oh yeah, no, like I got it running on my computer and it was really cool. But that's like really the extent of it for me. I didn't want to like boot it up again.
Yeah, I think I have the same thing. And there's a few games, like I used to think that, oh man, I should play these Pokemon games that I missed, you know, like which I mean, now I got Pokemon Sword, I think it was, for the Switch, and I played it for probably 2 hours, and I was like, well, I guess I don't really play Pokemon anymore. Like, you know, I like the idea of the collecting, but it was just a little bit too, I don't know. I'm not going to get into competitive Pokemon. Like that's just, I know that's the thing that people my age do now. Like if they like Pokemon, they do competitive Pokemon, and I don't care for that because I'm not going to min-max all my Pokemon because that's not me.
That's also not the game I remember. Like that's not the game I played.
Exactly. Like I want to play the story. I want to get yes, I don't want to catch them all. Maybe I do, but I just want to catch a bunch of Pokemon, and I want to be able to beat the Elite Four and do all that stuff. And that's great. And you can still do that in those games. I think I got to like the second or third gym in Pokemon Sword.
In 2 hours?
I don't know. Maybe it's more than 2 hours, but like in probably 3 sessions of playing the game, again, probably on a trip. And this is, I should stop giving examples from the Switch, because the Switch is a purpose-built device for me that gets broken out when I go places, and I haven't been places in the last like 2 years. So it's not a very good sample size for Switch games. But I will say that it didn't grab me. Like, and I may have outgrown Pokemon specifically, especially the story side of Pokemon, because it's very predictable and not that I don't know, not that great. And the art style doesn't do it a lot of favors either. So like I'm not into Pokemon, I guess, anymore. But I definitely was back in the day, and I had tried to even do it with an emulator, and I don't think that emulators are the best way to experience any of those kinds of games, because it just, you can tell that you're not doing it the way that it was designed. Like you know that you're not playing something, you know, with the right controller or in the right way. So I think that's something that's perhaps important to kind of keep in mind. But like I have a Super Nintendo Classic, which has a bunch of games built into it, and they're really good games. Like they're really good games. It has the original Mario Kart on it. It has the unreleased Star Fox 2, I think it was, which, I mean, I don't know anything about Star Fox really, but you were mentioning Star Fox, and I was like, oh yeah, that's on there too. It has Super Mario World, which is, you know, a great Mario platforming game, which I really do enjoy, and I never had a Super Nintendo as a kid to be able to play. But the game that it has that I guess I've always saved on that thing, and I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get to it, is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, which was the crossover between Mario and Final Fantasy in the mid-90s. And I have very fond memories of seeing that played by like a friend's house or somewhere, I forget, and always wanting to play it. And now I have it on a device in my house that I could just plug into a TV and play on a Super Nintendo controller, because the you know, classic consoles came with controllers for that are of the shape of the actual game. And I've never done it because part of it is I don't want to be spoiled on it. Like, I don't want to be like, oh man, that wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. And part of it is, oh man, that's a 100-hour RPG. I don't know if I have time to sit down and do any of that. And there's a little bit of a cost of like, well, what device will I play it on? Like, what screen will I play it on? Like, which TV will I hook it up to? Will I really sit down and, get the little wired controller out and play it and all this stuff? And the answer is probably no. So it's just, I don't know. All these kind of older games, we're in this like golden age of classic games, and I just can't figure out how to take advantage of that.
I think I'm learning that I don't care to. I think that's really like where all of this is going, because there are, and maybe this is a good time for the last game I wanted to talk about. I am finding that I enjoy, like, everyone always just makes fun of, or like just they have very poor opinions of like Blizzard, who is remaking all these games. They're remaking Warcraft 3 and they're remaking Diablo 2 and they're remaking all these old games. And I think there's a little bit of like, I don't want to play a remake and I don't want to play the story again. But there are certain ones that I really, really do want to play again, but I will not play the old game. And so I think that's the big difference for me, in that, like, for these emulated or these old classic games, I'm not going to play them. Like, the feeling of them not being super fun in the moment, but also on top of like the terrible graphics and they were good for the time, but like just all of that combined, like I'm not even going to try. I've decided that it's just not my thing. I'm not going to take advantage of it. But what I am going to continue to take advantage of are the remakes. I was never a Diablo 2 player. I was a Warcraft 3 player, and I bought it. I mean, it probably wasn't the greatest decision, but I did. And while I haven't put as much time into Mass Effect that I wanted to, I did enjoy the time I spent in it, and I want to do more of it. But it is a single player game, and when there are other people on, I play games to play with other people, and I haven't really had the opportunity to spend time by myself. The other game that's coming out, that like the teaser, all we have is a teaser at this point, that I really, really, really want to play, and I have very, very, very big, like happy memories of, is Knights of the Old Republic. I have tried to play Knights of the Old Republic in its original glory, and I really enjoyed the game. I could not get past the graphics or the movement or the, all of the things that made it a clunky old game. So this is one of those ones where, like, yes, I have very fond memories of this. I don't want to play the original. I am so excited for the remake.
Yeah, I picked up KOTOR when it came to the iPad, actually. So I have Knights of the Old Republic on my iPad, and I echo everything you just said about it being clunky and difficult to work with and all of that, because I could not get into it. Like, I didn't have fond memories of it because I never played it originally, because I didn't have an Xbox back in the day, and I don't know why I didn't play it on PC, because I think I did have a PC. But I just didn't have those kind of fond memories of it, and I was trying to get through it on the iPad because everybody says it's such a great game, and I was like, okay, I can kind of see it here, sort of, but the systems were very, very clunky, and it was tough to get through, and so that was another one that I bounced off of pretty quick. But I am very excited about this remake, and I will probably play it on the PS5 because it is a PS5 and PC timed exclusive. So it'll eventually come to Xbox, but at first it's going to be on PS5. I actually haven't even watched the trailer. Like, I just know that it's happening.
It's not even a trailer. It's just a teaser.
Okay.
It's like 15 seconds of high fidelity graphics of a character from the game.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, that'll be great. Even a next gen Star Wars game is bound to be cool. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
That's just in itself going to be neat.
Right.
So I'm hoping that this will be the chance that I get to experience Knights of the Old Republic and enjoy it for the first time in this remaster form. I will say I did have an experience, and this maybe is off. This is blending the remaster and the old game thing. I did have a really good experience with Link's Awakening on the Switch, which was a remake of a Game Boy game that they did for the Switch in full 3D, and they redid all the assets and everything. So similar to what this is for this KOTOR, because originally, of course, that was a 2D top-down Zelda game on the Game Boy, and now it's a 3D but top-down diorama style. Like everything is still screen by screen like it was on the Game Boy. And I loved that game, and I finished it. I beat it. It was great.
Did you play the original?
I did. That was actually, well, so the original was my very first game, I think, that I bought with my own money. I had found it on eBay, which was very new back in the mid to late 90s. And I had to get my parents to bid on it for me for like, I don't know, $12 or something. I mean, it was, not expensive because it was just somebody had an old Game Boy and they were getting rid of, the Game Boy games. And I remember I was so excited, and they mailed it, and like I never had the box and the manual and all that stuff, but I played that game, and it was on my Game Boy Color. It was Link's Awakening DX, because again, that was actually a game that was made for the original Game Boy, then redone for the Game Boy Color when they added color, because that was a thing. And now then I have it for the Switch, and I played it and beat it on the Game Boy, and I've played it and beat it on the Switch.
Wow. Okay, so that is kind of a success story.
Yeah, a success story for this. I do have a success story here.
I think I have more success stories, and I think maybe that's an episode. Stay tuned, everyone, for another podcast. So we're kind of like talking about old games that are better as memories. I think there's a whole class of those games that there are old games that have kind of stood the test of time, right? Are still as good. And maybe that's a whole discussion, and I think we should have that. So Chris and I had a much longer list than what we talked about just now. I pared my list down from like 8 games to just 3 or 4 that we talked about. So I know there are more out there that are like excellent classics, but I'm interested to hear if anyone else has attempted, an emulator or what other games that you have these really fun memories of that maybe you've tried and they just didn't work. Like they're just, let's just keep those in the drawer and remember them and talk to our grandchildren about back in my day. Those are the kinds of games we're looking for that you would never want to play again, but you've got great stories about. I'm interested to hear what others are out there. I really started my gaming career, if you want to call it that, with the N64. Chris started a little earlier. So I know there's lots and lots of like classic, even ones that you like GoldenEye, like James Bond GoldenEye, right? Like this crazy old game that, some of you may have really fond memories of. Heck, some of you might be old enough for like Pong. And I mean, they aren't good anymore. I don't think. Maybe, I don't know. But let us know. You can get in contact with us by joining our Discord, which you can get to at discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you want to listen to any of our older episodes or read our show notes or get in touch with us via email, you can visit us at our website, which is pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, and the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're enjoying the show and you want to help us grow it just a little bit, we would love if you could share it with some others.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
So you have had 24 hours with your new phone now.
Yes, it is iPhone season. And I have a new iPhone 13 Pro.
What is the 24-hour judgment?
I think it is so I'm coming from an iPhone 12 Pro because I am a crazy person and I upgrade my phone every year because I like to. And I think it is a decent upgrade over a 12 Pro and an amazing upgrade over anything else, I would say. Like an 11 Pro or anything like that.
Because I've got an 11 Pro Max right now, and I will be upgrading in about a month or two when, whatever, it doesn't matter. Verizon upgrade, yearly pay, whatever. I will be upgrading, and I'll be going to a 13 Pro or a 13 Pro Max. Not totally sure. But that is interesting that you put that kind of qualifier on there, that it is a good upgrade for you and a great update for everyone else.
Yeah, and the reason that I say that is because it is very different in terms of, it's very different because of the flat size if you didn't have a 12. And I really like the flat side design, which was the 12 had. But the cameras are actually really good, despite them being massive. And that is something that I would caveat and say these cameras on the Pro are huge. and they stick out very far, and it makes it so that the phone comically like lays diagonal on the table when you set it down, like because it's propped up on the back by its cameras. But those cameras take very good pictures. I think tomorrow I'm going to be outdoors and out and about and take a few like shots with like outdoor pictures, but I already tried the macro thing and it is super cool, where it uses the ultra wide lens to focus it really tight, because one of the big innovations for this phone is that all three cameras have autofocus now, where the ultra wide used to have no autofocus. It used to just be fixed focus because it was kind of made for like, taking wider pictures of things that are far away or whatever. Now it has autofocus, which means they can use it in its weird aspect ratio to take like up close pictures of stuff, which is really, really cool. And I like took a picture of like a jar of M&Ms that we had in the house. And like, it was just like super, super close up to the M&Ms. And it was really cool. Like, I don't think I could get this picture with my iPhone 12. So that was something that was kind of neat.
That's cool. I missed that part of the announcement, or I don't know if they talked about it in the announcement. But if they did, I missed it. And there's my phone ringing. Oh, you're sending me something. Okay, cool. But yeah, I know I missed that. And a lot of people have talked about it on some podcasts that I listen to. And I don't know like how much I would use that, but like, the one thing that someone mentioned, I think it was on ATP, where they were like, yeah, it's not just for like people that want like really crafty, up close photos. It's for people that need to focus on QR codes, or people that need to focus on, something else that's like very, actually like something that you would use rather than just for pictures. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool that you get this greater range of like where your phone and camera work really well. And that is kind of what sold me on it. There's something funny that they did say, I think it was on ATP, was you're talking about how big these cameras are. And a lot of times people are calling, the camera bump, whatever. And they called it the camera mountain. And I loved that.
Yeah, I also appreciated the camera mesa, because it is also bigger in like surface area of the back of the phone. If you look at it that way, like it covers on the Pro, not the Pro Max, it covers more than half of the horizontal distance.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I did not realize that. Oh my gosh.
It is very large.
Wow. Okay. I got to look at more pictures of these things.
It also sticks out significantly, like again, from the back of the thing.
I heard that even when you put a case on it, it doesn't lie flat.
Even when you put so I got the Apple leather case, and I've already been to the Apple store once, by the way, since yesterday, because I traded out the case because the one that I got had a little defect in the manufacturing. And so I went to the Apple store just before we recorded, actually, to swap out my leather case for another one, because it wouldn't be a new iPhone if I didn't go to an Apple store, even though I had the thing shipped to me. But yes, even with the Apple leather case, there's still a protuberance on the back here, like a little rim around the cameras that makes it so that it doesn't even sit flat, and it is a little bit wobbly if you touch the top left corner of the phone. Like it'll rock a little bit.
That's nuts.
But really, if you're just working in the bottom like half of the phone, it's very stable if it's like sitting on the table. One thing that's kind of a bummer is like all of my little charging docks that I have that are like, like the little wireless charging stand / dock things. They all come up too far on the back of the phone, so that like the camera bump keeps the phone a little bit off of the back of the charger, which I mean, it doesn't affect the performance, but like it doesn't fit anymore. And so I'm kind of a little bit bummed about that, but it's fine. That's not a big deal.
That's massive. I'm looking at these pictures now and like really kind of like comparing the size of the cameras and the camera. Like even the cameras are larger, right? Like the circles, the diameters of the circles themselves are bigger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now, so it goes past the halfway mark on the 13 Pro, but it does not on the 13 Pro Max. And that's kind of why I have a 13 Pro Max in my hand. And I was just like, that would be so... Oh, sorry. I have an 11 Pro Max in my hand, and I'm just like, that would be so massive. But it's not. It's proportionally bigger, yes, but it doesn't go past the halfway mark on my phone.
Right, and on your phone, if it went past the halfway mark, it would be just absurd. And it's, I mean, I'm not saying that it's normal on this one, but it does fine. Like it doesn't, especially with a case on it, it's just like, oh yeah, there's a camera on the back of this phone. Cool. And I think that's okay. And I'm already kind of used to it. The one bummer about it is that with the case on, there's kind of this, like I said, a lip, like a little rim around the cameras. And when I put it in my jeans pocket, when I would pull it out of my jeans pocket, that little rim would kind of get stuck on the little seam in the jeans pocket. So it would kind of catch a little bit, which I really don't like. And I didn't notice it because I've been carrying it around caseless today until I got this, went to the Apple store and swapped out this case because I didn't want to mess up the one I was going to return. And I didn't notice that as a problem when I was running without a case. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do there. I'm on the lookout for a knockoff cheapo, plastic case of some sort, something that I won't be as worried about like getting it wet or anything like that, just in case, so that I have so that I have a like second choice of a case in case I need to change.
So you have a leather case, right? The Apple leather case, and
the Apple leather, yeah.
Yeah, and you're looking for probably like a silicone something or other.
Well, I went and looked at the Apple silicone cases when I was at the Apple store, and the problem with the silicone cases is like they're nice soft touch silicone, but a lot of people online, and it seems to vary from year to year, but they say that the case kind of gets a little tacky and a little sticky, and it kind of picks up lint, and it kind of doesn't really look the nicest after 6 months. So I'm kind of off of that.
Whereas the leather ones get that nice like they like almost wear in, and they look even better after 6 months.
That's what I'm kind of hoping for. I did have a leather case for my 11 Pro, and I did drop it on like asphalt or something, and it like got a scuff on the corner, which was like, oh no, my case is dented, or not dented, but like scuffed. But it's almost like because it was leather, it was okay. Like I didn't like it because I would like run my finger over it and be like, oh, this is annoying. But like in terms of looks and kind of feel, I was like, okay, yeah, this is part of the character of this leather case thing. The other thing that's new about the iPhone 13 Pro over the iPhone 13 itself is that it has a ProMotion display, the 120 hertz display.
Have you noticed it?
I notice it anytime that there's like an animation. I'm just like, oh, that's so much smoother. And maybe I'm just in my own head because I know that it's there, so I'm kind of looking for it. But it's actually nice. Like it's I don't know, the feel of like anything that I'm scrolling or like I'm swiping up from the bottom and like the apps are dismissing themselves and stuff. Like that's all super, super smooth. Like just way, like very noticeably smoother. Like I don't notice hardly at all, except for sometimes my mouse pointer on my high refresh rate PC displays. But like in general for games and stuff, I don't really notice that much of the like G-Sync and all that stuff because I have a G-Sync monitor. I'm actually pretty not happy with it, but on the iPhone, just scrolling between things or like scrolling between app pages or scrolling up and down on a web page, like you can tell the difference, I think.
I will have to see because I'm definitely getting a Pro. I'm definitely getting a 13 Pro. And I traditionally have not been able to notice anything above like 60 frames per second, like 60 hertz. I like went all out one year and bought like a 240 hertz monitor for my gaming PC and like, made sure everything was set up. And I was just like, yeah, okay, maybe I can notice something here, but it doesn't like I don't notice. And maybe I'm just not paying attention to the right thing. Maybe it's because my eyes are so bad. Maybe it's, I don't know. But it just didn't make a difference to me. So I am interested to see whether there will be any noticeable change for me on the phone when I get it. You also have iOS 15.
I do. Yes. I actually got iOS 15 on Monday on my 12 Pro as soon as it was available, because I have been running the iPadOS 15 beta on my iPad for probably 2 months. And so I sort of knew what to expect, and I knew that the betas had been pretty stable. So I was okay with updating to 15 on day one.
And you're liking it? No big difference.
So the biggest difference of iOS 15 is the focus modes, I think. That's probably the most noticeable thing, which is basically custom do not disturb modes. So like they used to have do not disturb, which was like the original one. And then they added do not disturb while driving, right? Which automatically happens when you're driving if you have that feature turned on. And then there's also one that automatically kicks in for sleep. If you use the sleep setup in the health app and then you set the alarm through the clock app, it will automatically put your phone and your watch, if you have an Apple Watch, into sleep mode. And now in iOS 15, they have focus modes, which are basically a customizable set of these, like as many of these modes as you want. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a limit, but one that obviously comes to mind is work. And so you can set up these focuses. And one of the cool things about it is that you can change your home screens that are displayed in different focuses. So you can actually set up a focus-based home screen and make it so that when that focus is active, all your other home screens are hidden and you have just this one home screen or just these two home screens or something available, which is a really cool feature.
Yeah, I don't know. I only ever have one home screen. Maybe I could set up another one. Like I only have one screen total on my whole phone, but I could see that, like, I could see potentially setting up two different ones. I'm more interested in the notifications and limiting particularly Discord notifications on my phone during work hours. But I don't know that I've never used Do Not Disturb before on my phone. I don't know if you have in the past and like have wanted to be more specific about it, but I've never used it. And I don't know. It doesn't, like, I can effectively ignore notifications if I want to, like, oh, my phone buzzed. Fine. Okay, whatever. I'll look at it later. So it's never been a big deal for me.
I usually use Do Not Disturb overnight, which the sleep focus kind of has taken over. But I would use Do Not Disturb just so that, like, if I happen to be on a group text and somebody from the group text just texts something at, midnight and I was asleep, then I wouldn't get woken up. I mean, yes, I would then decide I'm not dealing with this now, but I would rather not have to wake up and make that decision. So that was where Do Not Disturb was useful for me. I would also say that I have in the past set Do Not Disturb if I was, again, getting a bunch of messages from usually a group text. Sometimes it's from individual people. I would set the Do Not Disturb, and they have an option where it's like, Do Not Disturb until I leave this location. So like if I was at a place for a meeting or something like that, I could say, while I'm in this building, basically keep me in Do Not Disturb, and then automatically take me out of it when I leave this building.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. I could see myself using that potentially.
I will say that the work focus I've been in the office for the last week or so because of a big project that requires me to be physically at the office. And again, this is when iOS 15 had come out, and it's learned that is where I work. Like, so it automatically sets the work focus when I'm like in the parking lot of that building. And then obviously when I'm inside and there as well. But then when I leave, it comes out of that focus, which is kind of cool. It's a little bit jarring because you're like, I didn't tell you to do that, but it's smart enough to know. You can also do it on a schedule if you'd rather. I've also, in iOS 15, one of the other kind of minor things is that AirTags can notify you when you are separated from them now. So like it'll give you hey, you left this thing behind.
Like right away.
Yeah, like right away, like proactively. It'll say, hey, you left Chris's backpack behind at this address. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I did because I'm just going out for lunch real quick and I'll be right back. But you can actually set locations. It automatically sets your home, but you can also set other places as like, this is an okay place to leave stuff, so don't tell me about it. But I could really see the advantage there of like, oh yeah, my backpack is on the plane and I'm not. So like I need to go, deal with that.